Welcome to this week's edition of Inter-University Debate, which is brought to you by Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV. I'm your moderator for this talk show. My name is Fancy Jendalake. I'm an advocate and a tax consultant. This week, we are hosting students of Bishop Stewart University. Bishop Stewart University students, you're welcome to the talk show.
Thank you.
So this week, we are discussing the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo and how this affects the integration, the regional integration, that is of the EAC. Now, the EAC struggled so much to be formed in that there were failed attempts historically in the past. And in the year 1999, we saw the EAC come up with a treaty with three countries that first ascended to it. That was Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. This saw several countries joining the EAC, and as per now, we have 7 countries within the EAC. Somalia has shown interest to join the EAC, while EAC decided to fast-track its application. So we sit down with students of Bishop Stewart University and we look at the conflicts within the EAC. How do the conflicts affect the integration of the East African community? But specifically for today's discussion, we are looking at the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is the second largest country in Africa. And yet it has been highly infested with rebel groups. And recently the UN came out and said the Democratic Republic of Congo has had over 122 rebel groups in the last 25 years. So we are going to discuss several issues in there. We are going to look at what is the historical background of the different conflicts that have taken place in the Democratic Republic of Congo. What is the current status quo of the DRC as we sit right now? As we know, lately it has been an issue that has been highly discussed in the media and as well as social media. Then we will look at the issue of EAC. How does this conflict affect the integration within the EAC? Then issues of new entrants. We have had countries join the EAC, but when they are having conflicts that are ongoing. So a question will be posed to the students. Should the EAC now start vetting countries so that by the time you join, you should have resolved conflicts in your country? Or should the EAC take on these conflicts, resolve them, and then move on with the countries as members? How about issues of international interference from other states outside Africa into the affairs of EAC? How should the EAC handle this? And then we will look at the issues of refugees and as well as conclude with how best conflicts should be handled within the EAC. Without wasting much time, let me introduce the panelists for today, then we delve into the discussion. I'll start with the first gentleman who is seated right here, and that is Mr. Arind Hosea, who is a student pursuing Bachelor of Laws at Bishop Stewart University. You're welcome to the Inter-University Debate.
Thank you so much, madam.
Okay. Our second panelist is Miss Akampa Sylivia. She is also pursuing Bachelor of Laws from Bishop Stewart University. Sylvia, you're welcome to the Inter-University Debate.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, we have our third panelist, whom I'll let him introduce himself. Due to the complication in the name pronunciation, I'll keep to Nicholas. So Nicholas, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Akandwanaho Nicholas. I am pursuing a bachelor's degree in law. I'm in 4th year at Bishop Stewart University.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. You're welcome to the Inter-University Debate.
Thank you.
Our fourth panelist is Ms. Asiimwe Winfred, who is also a student pursuing Bachelor of Laws from Bishop Stewart University. Winfred, you're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. So as earlier introduced, we are discussing the conflict in the DRC and how it affects the regional integration within the East African community. And I'll start with you, Hosea, on the issue of this conflict. What is the historical background, or basically the background of all these conflicts within the DRC?
Thank you so much, madam. As earlier introduced, Arind Hosea is my name. So, to talk to you about DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, it is a country which is in Africa, and it is the second largest in the continent, and Algeria being the first. So DRC, or Democratic Republic of Congo, is located in the central part of Africa, and since the time when it got independence in 1960, it had been in turmoil, it had been in conflicts, but the history states the first conflict which occurred in 1996 to 1997, which was called as Africa's First World War. And it was during the time when His Excellency Seko Mobutu was the president. And thereafter, there came in a leader who was a rebel leader. He was called His Excellence Laurent Desire Kabila. As he came in, another conflict started. It was in 1998 to 2003. So during that time, Congo had been in a conflict, and up to now, people in Congo are suffering. They are facing a lot. And the conflict in Congo, it's really beating some people. People are there, they are crying. People in Congo are suffering due to the conflict. And as I have said, yeah, it started the time when it got independence. Thank you so much, Madam.
Okay, thank you so much, Hosea, for that introduction and going into the historical background of the conflicts in Congo. So let me bring Sylvia into the discussion. So Sylvia, we know Congo has been talked about a lot in the media, but probably there are people who might not understand why right now we are talking about DRC. So my question to you is, what is the current status quo in the DRC in terms of the conflict that has been there?
Thank you, Madam. Apparently, as you have said, the main people don't know about DRC. They know, they may have heard of it, but at the parent status, they don't know what DRC is facing, is going through. But according to the current status in DRC, the M23 is becoming the main issue at the ground right now. Here, the M23 came in 2021. It has been there as a dormant rebel group, but apparently it's now back to fight over. It needs its own right, and it being part of DRC, it has taken over the eastern DRC, and it needs to be independent of its own, to be identified in DRC, to be called the people in M23. These are the March 23 movement. They are part of the refugees who left Rwanda and joined DRC. They left Rwanda. They left Rwanda to join DRC, but they didn't go on their own. They had gone there to settle, and on settling, they think that they can easily get that right of their own to take over, to be part of DRC, which is not the case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sylvia, for the current status quo. Let me bring Nicholas into the discussion. So, Nicholas, we know that there has been a lot of talks around Uganda, Rwanda. My question to you is, could there be some sort of contributory factors from the members of the EAC to the conflict in DRC?
Obviously, me, I would not differ from the position that EAC has been a key player, like the members within the EAC. Uganda itself, my country, the one where I'm seated right now, Uganda, has been in Congo for over the years. You see, Uganda has been in the Congo affairs of life, the social life, the politics of Congo. You cannot put out the fact that President Kabila was here at the other time when he went to Congo to take over from the father. And the Mobutu days, Uganda in the Kisangani battle, you remember Uganda fight alongside the battlefields with Rwanda to oust President Mobutu. So Uganda has been an ever-present factor in the Congo politics. When we flushed out the ADF rebels from Uganda, they ran into Congo, and they've been present in Congo for 2 decades. So Uganda has been in Congo for almost all these years. 94 genocide, if I can remember very well. Kagame, the revolution of the day, led by Kagame and the group, they flushed out some people from Rwanda. They also went into Congo. So President Kagame, to protect his position as a president, he also had to intervene. You know, sometimes there is what they call the state security and politique and morality and everything. So for the interest of the country, like Rwanda, Kagame, the way he has been on it for 20 years down the road, to protect his interest, that state interest and politique in the country, he must interest himself in the issues of DRC. President Museveni here in Uganda, him sort of having the ADF in Congo, that's number one. That's an automatic ground line that the presence of Uganda in Congo must be evident and must be felt in that country. You can't rule out Uganda. And secondly, you get a country like DRC being so resourceful, and the neighbors around DRC, I really, it's like when you have a very rich neighbor and you're lacking, and I'm being realistic here. Uganda is a country which is lacking. My country, I know it. It lacks in so many areas. And Rwanda also, Rwanda in terms of the resource capital, so many things it lacks a lot. So in order to benefit, we have seen ourselves participate in so many things. You remember in 98, the Kisangani battle, we fought with different frauds. You saw the case in the ICJ, Uganda paying war compensations. And we allegedly said no. At first we were denying the issue, but along the way our Attorney General went there. We are told to pay the money. We are paying. So if we can pay huge sums of over $200 million to Congo, that means that our presence in Congo will be there today. I think even tomorrow, and even last week it was there. So for me, the ground is that Uganda is in Congo, and it's there. I cannot deny even basing on the history and the future of the country like Congo. Thank you.
Okay. Let me move to Winfred, and you join the discussion.
Okay.
So the conflict in DRC, over the last the UN put it that over the last 25 years, DRC has harbored over 122 rebel groups. These are so many rebel groups for one country. It took us a long time to even deal with Konyi, northern Uganda. Congo is dealing with over 122 rebel groups in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
My question to you is, why do you think Congo has been prone to all these rebel groups?
Okay. As Nicholas has just said, I'll put the first reason as the mineral deposits in Congo. Congo is so much rich with mineral nutrients, and the greatest of all, okay, it has diamond, copper, but there's this mineral called coltan. It is used in making computers, iPhones. It is used as a coating. So, personally, I think the reason as to why there is a lot of turmoil in DRC is because everyone wants to benefit from that. And mostly, if you may look at it, these rebel groups are all centered in the eastern DRC, and that is the Katanga region, and that is where there is all those mineral deposits. So the first one is the mineral deposits, the mineral resources that are in Congo. The second one is the poor political system. I would say Congo has a weak and poor political system in that every president who comes in, they have a reason, and the reason is to benefit from the mineral resource. So you find out that every president comes and takes over from a disorganized system already. Because if you may look at Mobutu, when he left, Kabila came and took over, it was also still not a settled state. And then Joseph also came and took over, then the Tshisekedi. But still you see that you're inheriting a politically unstable, poor system of governance. So you find that it becomes difficult even for the one who is there to put it right, because it is kind of hereditary. I would say their disorganization politically is hereditary. Everyone takes over from the other. Then the other one is the ethnicity. You find in Congo there are very many people, very many languages. So there's also that disorganization, I'll call it, in that you find during every political, like whenever it is towards the election, every ethnic group or every tribe in Congo will want to have someone, a candidate, to come up as their next president. So most of them feel so much disorganized, and this has caused rebel groups even among the Congolese themselves. So you find that the Congolese, they are, for example, if I may refer to the Rwandese refugees who stayed in Congo after their genocide, they came and they wanted to also become citizens in Congo. Then you find there are native citizens who are also against it. So you find there are now, if I'm to give an example, now so far those are two rebel groups. These ones who are who came to seek for refuge, and these ones who are at home. So you find these two are conflicting. More so, if to refer still on the ethnicity, there are some who feel that they are too much, they are ignored and left out. For them, maybe they feel they are not duly represented. So you find even within themselves, they are creating rebel groups. Then externally, because there are some groups like the ADF is sponsored by Uganda. That's what they say. So you find out that for Uganda to come and take over, to have at least a hand in whatever is happening in Congo, they will also have their group. Then you find Rwanda also has their M23, and even the Congolese themselves also have to fight. Like recently, the ambassador of Rwanda was sent out away from Congo, and in international law, if an ambassador is told to leave a country, then that means you have told the state that he represents to leave a country. So if they are the Congolese who didn't want the Rwandese to invade the people of Congo, that means that there is a group that the Congolese feel is from Rwanda, which is a rebel group. And even the Congolese themselves, the way they are bringing it out, they're not bringing it out in the rightful way, but they are also bringing out in a rebel way. So that's why I said it is ethnicity, political system. More on the political system, the fact that Congo is about to go into another phase of election, I think the current president is doing things to impress the voters. Because if, let's say, if your people tell you, we don't want Rwanda to invade in our issues, and you do it, but you know, as a diplomat, you know that you're losing out, but because you want to still stay on the seat, so you just push them away. So that's why I'm going to conclude that the causes of this whole turmoil is ethnicity, whereby people, some of the tribes feel so much ignored and distanced, they're not involved in everything. Then the political system, and then the mineral resources, whereby everyone, even if they're white countries, they all want to come and take part and benefit from those mineral resources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Winfred, for that insight into the possible causes of the conflict in Congo. Let me come back to Hosea. So, Hosea, let's turn directly and look at the EAC and its integration.
Yes.
Now, several issues have come up from the panelists, and we have also seen all over the media the issue of Rwanda, Uganda, and recently I watched on news when several activists in Congo were carrying anti-Rwandese placards, you know, and they were mentioning different words, different slogans, singing anti-Rwanda songs, you know. So my question to you is, how does this impact on the integration of the EAC?
Okay.
The conflict itself, in all the conflicts happening in Congo, how does this have an impact on EAC integration?
Thank you so much, Madam. Democratic Republic of Congo, we know it is newest member of East African Community. It joined recently. It was April 2015 when it joined. And
we actually had South Sudan joining.
Yeah, and the seventh member of East African Community. We have Uganda, comprising of Uganda, our country, Tanzania, we have Rwanda, we have Burundi, we have South Sudan, and Kenya. So, Democratic Republic of Congo being the seventh member, the time when it was announced that it's going to join, negotiations started. It was the time when the ambassador was called Mr. Vincent Karenga. So he was expelled. The time when he was expelled, yeah, it was a way of recalling the way what they did to their ambassador also. So it was so hard when they expelled the ambassador. And in the East African community, being that it joined the East African community, it has been really impacted, where we find that during that time there was displacement of people, where we find that the people sometimes they left the Congo, and we have some in Uganda. So I would like to also to address our mind with the article. There is Article 5. Article 5.
5.2.
Yeah, 5.
Close to.
That is of the treaty.
5
Following the
to
EAC.
of the Treaty for the Establishment of East African Community, and founded on 3 pillars, which provides for common foreign and security policies, good governance, and effective implementation of the prior stages of regional integration. Thank you so much. So, as you know, the vision of East African Community, the vision is to be prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and political, united in East Africa. So, yeah, it has the East African Community, though the DRC joined East African Community. We are hoping that that organization is going to guide and help, so as it can bring something that can help people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly peace and harmony. Thank you so much. That's how I can submit.
Okay, thank you. Let me move to Sylvia. So Sylvia, I'll still ask the same question that I posed to Hosea. The impact of the conflict in Congo on the EAC, because now we are seeing several countries being dragged or dragging themselves, I don't know which one is which, into the conflict. How does this affect the integration?
The impact of DRC conflict towards the regional integration, by the fact that according to the treaty they signed, they are targeting stability, trade, prosperity, the political system to be perfect, everything, etc. But unfortunately, it has not been the case. By the fact that there is war in DRC, Uganda will have to increase the security along the border to ensure that people in Uganda are safe, not let's say the ADF not intrude this side of Uganda, or either way, Uganda people to move out to DRC to fight over, to help out DRC without the permission. So for it, it has increased insecurity in Uganda. Reason being that the Uganda wasn't ready for the war. But the fact that the war is already there, it has to protect its people. And for that matter, it has to increase the security along the border and also. Besides that, the trade has been affected greatly. DRC, it being mostly invested in minerals, it has brought the Uganda is unable to cross over to get, let's say, timber to bring it back to Uganda. Reason being, there is war, and they can't. They're not able to get the minerals that they're supposed to get at the moment because of the war there. Then, when it comes to Rwanda, by the fact that Rwanda hasn't officially deployed its army there, because it's said that the M23 is also invested in by Rwanda, so they are unable to participate fully. So in short, I can say that the trade has been greatly affected. Uganda is unable to cross over to get whatever minerals they're supposed to get. Exports and imports are not well. So, another thing, DRC, the war in DRC has also greatly led to inflation.
So let me bring Nicholas into the discussion, and it is still on that same issue. We are talking about the integration of the East African community. With all these conflicts, specifically the one in DRC, because it has attracted so many states into its affairs. We have seen states having an opinion about it. So how has it impacted on the integration of the EAC?
Thank you very much. One, there is suspicion. Now, you are getting 7 nations. Congo is suspicious of Rwanda. Rwanda is suspicious of Burundi. And at the same time, Uganda in the past is suspicious of Rwanda. So you are getting the 7 nations full of suspicion, and suspicion are the interest of security. And you know, when it comes to the politics, running a country, the most important thing is security. The morality can come in later, but the extent that the country sees, like Uganda, today if you told the president something's wrong, he'd say, close the border. So it means that we are at the height of the tension, where the country's interests of security are being scared. Because you get Burundi saying it's supporting, it's in for DRC. We saw the president of Burundi in for DRC. And it's something that I've tried to get from her when she was speaking, and I wanted to inform us that in around 2011, 29, I think I was a bit young when South Sudan was getting independence. And it's
that was in 2012.
2012 actually. Yes. I was there. I was a bit not old, so I watched the presidents who were there, and I watched President Museveni, and I watched the new nation, like the way Congo is these days. So I have always told people one thing, that when the nation takes wrong notes from the neighbors, the cheat code notes, the wrong lectures, it's one of the worst things in this region. So you get a country like Congo, and it's making benchmarking towards from Uganda. It's making benchmarking towards from Rwanda. The worst person is making benchmarking towards from another person who is a bit also there, but in infancy, who is not seen by light. You see, Congo is an experiment of how a state can collapse in broad daylight. Other countries are existing. They have collapsed also, actually, but they are standing. You know, when you are too strong to stand because of certain factors, the population, the demography of the country. But Congo is representing that you can do wrong benchmarking towards. Me, I'm always very sad when I see the East African community countries sit down. And now we are in a constitutional, it's a constitutional round table. We are talking about the constitution. I saw it somewhere in our debates and our things here. So if you talk about the constitution, so what does Congo talk about? who lectures Congo about the politics of its running as a region? Because you cannot have a community whereby you have not settled the politics of the community. You get one country like South Sudan, it's in turmoil for life. And the soldiers of South Sudan are being put on tracks to put peace to Congo, a contradiction of peace. What you have failed in your own country, you're going to put in another country. That's something that you see also that is practically impossible. Burundi, I don't think ever since the days of Ndandaye, you come to Ndandaye, you come to Nkurunziza, you come to the Evarist. It has also been like a broad day one that see Burundi wake up the next day with the president. And the very soldiers from that country and their president is the chairperson of the East African community. And is one tell Congolese that please, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and organize your country. Me, I have told people that Congo is doing a wrong benchmarking to us in the wrong region.
So it's copying from a student that has failed exams.
It is
being taught by
a wrong
professor.
Okay.
So,
A wrong professor who expects it to be okay, to be a good student.
My
Okay,
papers that I told my friends that maybe Congo must have robbed notes of wrong professors. And I suggested that Congo should go and visit Ghana. Congo should go and visit some other nations around. You see, it's East Africa, we love the color, we love that we're the Bantu, but we have our own issues that we must accept first. And when we accept these issues, then we say, we are not doing well here. Let us look for someone else to help us. That is why I say the East African community will not succeed. It is hyped. The hype is so much. It will be a normal talk, but the hype is so much because we have so many issues that are inside of us. And anytime we can wake up and we find that the country is no more. What we used to call a country is no more. It has collapsed. So then what was the essence of it being in the community? And maybe what I can say finally, Congo is a member of the SADC. So Congo being a member of SADC, it will pay more attention to SADC because for it, it's a bit settled. When you see South Africa, you see the Namibia, you see those countries there, they are a bit settled, they are moving on well. So in the near future, like 10 years to come, the president of Congo will be there, will be like, why don't I start putting more attention to this side of the South? It seems they are doing well, more than the East here. So for me, I think the East African community must sort so much of its issues. We have so much, really. I think we have so much, like, we should even debate like 2 years, then we begin the community. Actually, we should remove everything we have had, the constitution and what. Then we say, let's start a benchmark. Democracy should be like this. Politics should be like this. Address to the parties of how we should govern ourselves should be like this. Movement should be like this. Free market should be like this. That's what we should do. But these things of one take currency tomorrow, the next day one take Swahili, the next day one professors to move around, we want to have same banks. You're just jumping over things, I think. So that is basically what I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nicholas. Let me bring Winfred into that same discussion and let's hear you say.
Okay, what I would say about DRC joining East African community is that it is not of impact, considering that I'll mainly center my discussion on the issue that it was maybe joined because they saw that it is a highly populated country, so they thought they're creating market for the East African community. But there's no way you're going to create market where there's never stability. Who is going to buy who is going to even think of buying your products when they're always running morning and night? Because of what? Because of the political instability. Then, still, if we are looking at the market, these are the people it is over 90 million people in Congo, but still around 60 million of them are poor. They are so poor that one has to earn $2.5 something a day. So who is going to buy what you're producing? Then why would you even in the first place bring someone that you know is not going to be that beneficial on table? Why would you bring in a family member that you're not going to benefit from as much as that. Still, the people, okay, if we are to take that, the 30 million are okay. Yes, they can create our market. But do we also first look at what time, resources, and everything we're going to invest in the 60 million who are poor, who are going to be there as a liability to us? So I think joining East African community, it was a wastage of time.
Okay. Thank you, Winfred. I think this question will start with you,
Okay.
since when you ended your discussion, you sort of preempted my next question. It is on joining EAC.
Okay.
We have seen countries join EAC when they have wars ongoing. It happened with South Sudan, it happened with Congo. Now Somalia also wants to join, and as we know, there are ongoing conflicts in Somalia right now.
Yeah.
My question to you is, should EAC allow countries, even with infestation of conflicts, to join EAC? Or should we develop some sort of a vetting criteria? Because now when they join EAC, we have to deal with the conflicts in their countries.
I would think as long as a country has something that has to first settle, a conflict or anything that is going to hinder us, they first settle themselves, be neutral, be clean, and then come join us. For example, the reason why I'm saying this is because now let's say if we are to bring in Somalia, even before Somalia is a member of the East African community, every day Uganda is exporting its soldiers. The Uganda People's Defense Force, Uganda Peoples, it is going to defend the people where? In Somalia. And for us, our lives are remaining at stake. So that means that now if it becomes our brother, we shall invest, like our manpower will be more centered in Somalia. And I don't think we are the most peaceful. Just that maybe we have not yet gotten a reason to do what? Maybe to wake up and we are like, okay, we are conflict. But anyway, we have ever. Because I remember in Kasese, at the end of 2016, yeah. So if these groups, I think I should even call it a rebel group, the royal guards in the Rwenzururu kingdom, to me they were a rebel group, though even I'm from there, but it was a rebel group. So if we are to have such, and our manpower is being exported, then who is going to even be there for us as the Ugandans? So I think it is better these countries first settle themselves, first be okay, be politically stable, everything, such that when you're coming, you're giving us idea. Now I'm thinking, South Sudan, will it tell us it is already in the East African community, but will it at one moment come and preach peace in that community? When we, okay, let's say our presidents are sitting somewhere and we are discussing on what to do, will it ever preach for us peace, yet we know they don't have peace? Will DRC come and tell us peace, yet there's no peace at all ever since it got its independence? So at least we can listen to Kenya, because at least Kenya, yes, it has good ideas. We look at it as something, some country that has good ideas because it has been politically stable. They have never had conflicts. Likewise, Tanzania, they have also not had any political instability compared to Rwanda, then Burundi, Congo, and so to me, I think it is better if they first settle whatever wrangles, whatever turmoil is at home, then they can come and join us as brothers and sisters.
Okay, that is Winfred's opinion. I will also get Hosea, Sylvia, and Nicholas's opinion, but after the break. So we are taking a short break and we'll still return back with students of Bishop Stewart University.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from that short break. We are still with students of Bishop Stewart University, and we are discussing the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo and how this has an impact on the integration of the East African community. So I'm moving back to Hosea. So Hosea, before the break we were discussing about entrance into the EAC, and you listened to Winfred's opinion. Now I'm back to you. On one hand, we have conflicts in these countries. For example, for Somalia, recently the president of Somalia attended the summit when the application for Somalia to join the EAC was being fast-tracked. And he stated clearly that you people within the EAC, all of you, we have relationships with you. Uganda, Kenya, all of you. Down in history, when you look at even the construction of the railway, we were there doing, we were the ones doing horse riding, so we did the marking. Indian coolies just came to construct. Aside from that, they come with trade. And then when you look around in Uganda, there are so many petrol stations owned by Somalis. But on the other hand, they have conflicts ongoing. So how do we strike a balance between the two? What is your opinion on countries joining when they are infested with conflict, even when they have all these benefits?
Okay, thank you so much, madam. Yeah, so on that issue, therefore, the conflicts, those countries with some disputes, I would like to urge those countries to first settle, and it's now my time to call upon court to do the needful. Yeah, recently it was on 9th February 2020. Yeah, in the case of Uganda versus Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, the International Court of Justice ordered a reparation order, and we saw in that case, Uganda was entitled to pay damages because during that time, during the case, Ugandan soldiers, they were fighting with their young combatants. And when they were fighting, they reached in Congo and they destroyed some parts where eastern part where we found minerals. So they destroyed their properties, and it was not good on their side. So when they brought an action, yeah, the International Court of Justice, it stood and ordered a reparation order, and Uganda paid pounds for damages.
We haven't yet paid though.
Yeah, we haven't paid. Yeah.
We are supposed to pay actually.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. We are supposed to pay damages. So trade is a major or a vital role. The reason why Democratic Republic of Congo joining East African community, trade is the best thing because Democratic Republic of Congo also wanted to be like other countries, those who joined a bit early, Uganda, Kenya. So they were trading with each other. So Democratic Republic of Congo also joined that so that it can gain also, it can benefit from trade. Thank you so much, madam.
Okay, let me move to Sylvia. So Sylvia, what is your opinion on the issues of new entrants within the EAC joining when they have ongoing conflicts in their countries?
Okay, as my colleagues talked about the countries should first, my colleague Winnie talked about how the countries should first have peace. She's right about that, but the question is, if we accept the new countries to join the AC, are we targeting the benefits of those countries? As you have said before, that in Somali there is oil, in DRC there are different mineral resources. Then, should we accept the same countries all because they have the resources? Yet, there is instability in those same countries. To my thinking, we shouldn't accept them before they settle. They should first settle, because if we accept them as the way they are, then we are ready also to pay the consequences. We have to suffer the consequences. At the same time, we shall also be affected highly. So in actual sense, I wouldn't accept new entrants to enter AC before they settle their conflicts as their home countries. Thank you.
Okay, let me also give Nicholas a chance to have an opinion on that question, then we can move on.
When President Obama was in addressing the British Parliament in 2015, he told them that history has it that the most prosperous nations, communities of people, are the free ones, the liberal ones, and democratic ones. So freedom and integration and trade and knowledge move hand in hand. When you look at the European Union, it is the biggest trading bloc in the world. Reason being, the free movement, the democracy in that region is excellent. So if people become more free in one country, and you see that, you tell these countries that before you come to join us, the ground rule is you must have a free nation, a nation of liberalism, a nation of democracy. If people are not free, they cannot trade and attain success. That trade is not sustainable. One time, Iraq was the richest country in Asia, but Iraq is not there. What does it mean? Some things are not sustainable. You can say we are bringing Congo, they have oil, they have what? South Sudan was one day peaceful and the pound was so high. But today, South Sudan, I don't deserve to live there. So some things are not sustainable because they don't have the ground rules. The biggest ground rule for this region to have a sustainable community is that we must create a freer community in terms of democracy. Because if I can use the Obama thing, which is very relevant, which you can see, all of us can see it with our eyes, is that every person would aspire, even if they brought an airplane, in a South African community itself, you would find people flying to live in Britain, to live in the EU, because they feel like you will have, that time I had my friends, they travel. You were in Bulgaria, you can watch a match in London, a Champions League match in the night. You just move freely. Everything is free. Nothing. You're saying democracy, everything is at par. So unless the people are free, the people themselves, like me now, I'm free. The EC cannot work. So I say, let's have freer people in the region. People in Somalia should be free. People in Congo should have democracy. Ugandan people should be free, and Tanzanian people should be free. So that when we sit down and talk, it'd be like, yeah, I want to come to visit your country. I'm coming next week. I want to just talk about this and talk about this. I want you this. I want to do this. So if that's the leverage you're having, the table we are discussing on, everything will be wow in the region.
Okay, thank you. Let me just ask you one more question in there, Nicholas.
Yes.
So what happens to the other things that the countries come with? Market, like for example, South Sudan, we have been taking goods to South Sudan. You know, Uganda has been exporting several goods to South Sudan. And then the different markets that are created by those countries, should it be something that should be looked at last? Conflict resolution should be looked at first in those countries.
Before South Sudan joined the East African community, Uganda brought peace to Southern Sudan. We are the biggest contributor there. I remember people trade in South Sudan, Ugandans, and we had the biggest revenue coming in. Shortly, Kenya came in. And you see why Kenya took an advantage from us. Kenya is more organized. Is an organized nation. So when it came to South Sudan, the revenue for Kenya was so high. So we can strike bilateral agreements between these nations. We deal like we have been dealing before with them. But we should not bring them into our state interests. That we should have to dinner every January to celebrate a community. We can still be far away, respect one another, and strike the balance of trade. But now you're bringing the balance of security. You're saying you want to have observers in that country for elections. You're trying to marry convenience, which is practically impossible. We can strike bilateral agreements between ourselves and trade as far neighbors. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Nicholas, for that. So let me move to Winfred. So let's talk about the conflicts that are right now within the EAC member states, not even the ones that are just joining. So what role does the EAC itself, as an organization that has been formed, what role does it play in conflict resolution within its member states?
Okay, I'm sorry for whatever I'm going to say, but I'm going to sound a little bit anti-government.
Feel free. Feel free to give us your opinion.
I'm going to be a little bit anti-government. If we are to look at the first three countries that formed the East African community, that is Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, if we are to look at this, I think all the conflicts are coming due to lack of democracy in Uganda. Kenya of recent changed. They had a new president. It is this year. Tanzania, they have also been having different. And if you were to look at it, since the beginning, Uganda have been represented by one person from the beginning. So this is, Uganda, we are having our granny, he's there. These are others who are bringing new faces, new minds, new heads. So really, how do you expect someone who wants to stay somewhere to sit with these others who have new minds, who have new ideas? Because as far as I know, our president, he should be running short of ideas by now. Because yes, Baganda said that an old broom knows whatever is in the compound, but still there is also young blood. So to me, I think the cause of the conflict within East Africa is due to lack of democracy in some of the major or the founders of the East African community.
Okay, that is Winfred's opinion. Let me just ask you one more question regarding that. So you brought out clearly that the main cause of the conflicts within the EAC is basically due to issues of democracy, right? Now my question to you is, has EAC as an organization, as an intergovernmental organization, played any role in resolving conflicts within the EAC?
I will say it has not, because the big man, anyway, I'll give an example of a family. If your father is going astray, you as a kid, you can't be like, Dad, you know what, this is bad. There is a way you'll do what? So the fact that the head of the East African community, I think I will call him unruly. He will not listen to what these others, because he will feel like, me, I know more. So there is no way these conflicts are going to be resolved, and there's no way democracy will be fought until it starts from home, where the founders, okay, in most cases you find when someone knows that they founded something, my dear, it is hard to convince them. It is hard to give them an idea and they buy it. So I'm of the view that if Uganda is to change and we have a new president, maybe that one will also look at the other ones as the superiors and listen. Then democracy can go on and the conflicts will be resolved.
Okay, thank you. Let me move to Hosea. So, Hosea, what is your perspective on conflict resolution by the EAC? Because we have seen in the EAC member states, we have seen individual countries going to resolve conflicts. We saw President Yoweri Museveni in South Sudan. We have seen individual countries moving. So what is your perspective on EAC itself as an organization resolving conflicts within EAC as compared to individual countries within EAC moving to resolve conflicts in these countries?
Thank you so much, madam. May I call upon democracy. I pray that the East African community can fight hard and bring democracy, because democracy is so important. So as I use the law, Uganda, we have used the constitution of the 1995. Article 1, it provides that power belongs to the people, who shall exercise their sovereignty in accordance with the constitution. So I'd like to talk about briefly a free and democratic society. The way how judge submitted in the Zambian reference, in the Zambian constitutional reference, the judge submitted that what is justified in Zambia, it must be accepted and taken, and even they must bring peace where there is no peace. So if I talk about a free and democratic society, it's good when you have a society that is democratic. And a free and democratic society, I'd like also to use a case of Mwanga Chivumbi versus Attorney General. Yeah, the way how that was the court stated it, that in a free and democratic society. So the court was relying on the police, what they did, because they found on that case that section 2, so section 32 of the Police Act, it was in contravention. So the court relied that in a free and democratic society, the police's paramount role is to keep law and order. So now I'd like to call upon the East African community to emphasize peace, to emphasize order in those countries, so as they can be able to harmonize and even to do something that can look good, that can be prudent, and they can be able to trade each other, and everything shall be well. Thank you so much, madam.
Okay, thank you. Let me move to Sylvia on similar to that.
Some question.
Yes, we have seen a proposal of East African countries having a joint army. We saw that proposal coming from the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, who said to resolve the issue in DRC, we need to contribute our army and go and resolve the issue in the DRC. So what is your perspective on that, East African countries having a joint army to go resolve a situation in DRC?
East African community coming together to fight DRC, to fight the rebels in DRC. First, back then in 1997, Uganda and Rwanda sent its troop to DRC. And it's really absurd that when they sent their people, the army, they started looting, raping, so on and so forth. There was the children had to join also the army to fight over, so that they help out their country. But this wasn't the case. This wasn't the reason why they sent them there. They sent them to fight on behalf, to bring peace on behalf of the East African community. So when they reached there, when they did the opposite of what they had sent them, because in the court, they had to quote the vigilancy. Why didn't Uganda try to monitor, or Rwanda to monitor its troop that they had sent to DRC? For as what His Excellency, the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, said, yes, it's possible for East Africa, for the East African countries to bring up the army all together, but they should be vigilant. They should monitor these people on what they're supposed to. They should do what has taken them there, not the opposite of what they did back then in 1997. So if they are to reconsider each and every category of whatever happened in 1997, it shouldn't happen again this time round as they are trying to help out DRC. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me bring Nicholas right there. So, Nicholas, we are talking about East African communities' involvement in conflict resolution in its member states. Do you think the EAC is doing enough to have a hand in conflict resolution within its member states?
Yeah. When you say you're trying to resolve conflicts, it's a good move, it's positive. Everyone would aspire to see that happen. But as you're doing it, the background knowledge should be that, as I told you at first, that the people inside any nation of East Africa, you see, when you're building people in a country, you're building hearts. Countries are hearts. The countries are not badges. So when you come to resolve conflicts like the way Kenya is doing it in Congo, you've brought armies, you brought what? You brought everything to Congo. You're trying to tell people of Congo that please, I've come to help you out, splash out rebels. But the people of Congo themselves, inside their hearts, they do not feel the Congo you're telling them about. The practical example I've watched in my life, it was South Sudan. The people of South Sudan had something on their hearts. But outside face, they are celebrating a new country. 3 years down the road, the hearts collapsed. The country is up in flames. Everyone is running with the bag. Ethiopia in Tigray right now. People inside Tigray in Ethiopia were behaving like the country was okay. The airline was flying over Africa. But one day, the people's hearts collapsed. Everyone collapsed. The country blew up in flames. Everyone caught what they caught, and the country is up in flames. So you can't do it, and the way Kenya is doing it, it's right. But the biggest message that should be given to people of Congo should be, Congolese, this is your country. Own your country. Because when people don't own their country, it's so hard to perceive them. It's like in another country. And what he told me is that they are going there to solve the conflict, yes. But you're going to Congo to tell these people to solve the conflict themselves. But why are people in Congo rebels themselves? Because it's so hard for me to become a rebel in my country as a person as Nicholas. So I'm dressed like this. But people in Congo, they're like me actually. Young like me, but they are rebels. But what brings this? Why are these young people rebels? The issue is that these people have failed so much that their aspirations cannot come true. Second, they feel so much neglected. Thirdly, they feel that they do not own that stake in the country. It's like when I'm studying and I feel like along the way, even if I study, there is nothing much. I have to devise my means. And that's what happens in certain countries. So the message that Kenya should drive, don't bring the gun first in front. You can keep the gun behind and first educate the mind. And that's the best message that they can deliver in that conflict resolution in Congo. You have to tell people that this is your country. Own it. Feel like you love it. Dance the tunes of the country. Because me, I'm surprised recently, if I can bring it more light to people who are watching us there, that in Congo, the Belgian embassy is overwhelmed by the numbers of people trying to leave Congo and America. So which country are you trying to solve? Here people are applying for a visa, green card, everywhere around the world. So we reside in the country, the chimpanzees and the monkeys. So let me just say that the East African community, the job is nice, but it must have ground rules of changing the minds of people of that country.
Okay. Yes, Sylvia.
As if we had to go back then in 1997, Uganda and Rwanda worked hand in hand to send troops in DRC, as I'd said before. But this time, back then, as they had gone there to bring peace, right? When in their way of bringing peace, they had to overthrow the president, and they had to bring in the rebel, the Kabila, who was the rebel back then. It's ADFL, the rebel of that group, and he was the leader. Later on, a few years later, in 1998, they again came in to overthrow the same president. So which means if this time when they decide to go, as he has said, that the mindset of the Congo is still low. These people have lost hope completely. So we have to rekindle the hope. We have to light that candle so that they believe in their country. They should have that heart of the patriotic heart to come back and know that this is Congo, you're right? But what are we going to do to save our own country? That is to feel the love and have that passion and love of their country. Them leaving the country, they may have left out for their jobs and all, but it's because they have lost hope.
Exactly.
So it's all about them to come back and sit at the table. Though the EC has to sit as one to be united. Right now, they're not united. Everyone has his or her own opinion on the table. But if they sit and they say that let us straight our mind on this, then they will go for it and it will be successful. That's all I can say.
Okay. Yes, Winfred.
Okay.
I was already coming to you anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, mine is like, should I call it a worry? My worry is if we are to make an army, like Uganda gives part of the manpower, every country. We have, like he earlier said, he said that some countries that have internal issues, Uganda is not in good terms with Rwanda, Rwanda is not in good terms with Congo. So let's say now that Congo needs the manpower. How are you going to convince the Congolese that a Rwandese soldier is coming to help them stabilize?
To fight for your interest.
So I'm against that. Until those two countries come to peace, there is no way a Rwandese soldier will come. Even when they come, they already have it in their heart, these people don't like us. So that's why you find the army are becoming brutal towards the civilians, because you have your internal conflicts. So before we think of getting a uniform army, a community army, we should first settle the conflicts we have, the interstate conflicts. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add on it.
Yes, Nicholas.
Actually, she's trying to bring what I'm trying to say. In Goma, if you saw the local person in Goma who didn't go to school, P3, P1, and P7, the people were carrying placards of Kagame and saying they want to butcher the people of Rwanda. So if the conflict can deteriorate to a farmer in the village of Goma who has never been to school, but this farmer can narrate to you a story of how Kagame or of how a certain nation or how certain things in other countries are transpiring. He's someone who has never been to school, but you see his heart is devoted to butcher someone, to butcher another nation. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, that we must go to Congo Goma, tell these Congolese that yes, we are flashing out M23. You have to put down your differences, because the people of Congo in Goma there, it's beyond what the chopper you see in the air. It's beyond the airstrikes Museveni and the group are doing and the EAC. It's just the heart of the people in Congo, because that was the real practical thing I saw in my life, and I was like, wow, Congo is going to solve it. Congo is going down, because people are like, we want to attack ourselves and this and that country and fight. So what's that? The country is collapsing.
In fact,
Okay, let's have Winnie and then come back.
in
with
fact,
Sylvia.
to get that, what Nicholas is talking about, to make it more clear, is I think it would be better if we have one Congolese, not a Congolese, a Congolese who is something else. If I am give clear examples of what I'm sure of is Uganda. I'm not talking about Uganda in general, but I'm talking about DRC, I'm using Uganda. Uganda will have very many languages. We are Ugandans, but you'll find a Winfred who is a Mokonjo, but Ugandan. You find a Muganda, you'll find a Mchiga. So it is better if we love ourselves as Ugandan. So my message to the Congolese is be a Congolese, but don't base on the ethnicity. Don't base of I'm a Congolese from this tribe, I'm a Congolese from here. So for them to like, they should come together, be one person and be one Congolese, not Congolese. Again, you're subtracting yourself. Me, I'm a Congo, but from this side.
Okay.
I'm a Congo from here. So it is better they become one person. That is how this whole thing will be simplified.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have Sylvia and then we move on.
Yeah. I want to add on what he said about Goma. By the fact that in Rwanda, it is believed that when the genocide took place, people scattered all over. And this genocide was brought because of the Tutsi and the what?
The Bahutu.
The Bahutu, the Hutus and the Tutsi. Apparently, it is alleged that the M23 is like a shadow army of Rwanda, because right now Kagame is a Tutsi, right?
Yes.
And the FDR, the FDR, it's the rebel in DRC. That rebel, it is people in that rebel, if they're in Goma, those people were headed by the former president of Rwanda, not Kagame. Exactly that one. But it was a Hutu. It's like the genocide is going to come back again. Reason being, Rwanda, the Tutsi, the people who are the M23 are being led by the Tutsi, the Kagame, who is the Tutsi, and he's acting behind M23. Reason being, is like a shadow army at the moment. So if I'm to say what he said, that kids coming up with guns to fight, that is the reason, because these are the grandchildren of FDR. They want to come back and fight. They think they have to fight Rwanda as the enemy because they are the Hutus. That's why you can never believe that these people are Congolese. Even if they fight, whatever case yes, they are fighting because they want to sit down and negotiate with the country, the Kinshasa, the city, the capital city of DRC, so that they can be able to get to get the rights they need to be called the Congolese. But it's impossible.
Okay. Yeah. Let me move back to Hosea. So let's talk about international intervention outside the EAC, outside Africa. We saw when the president of DRC cried out to the former Prime Minister of Britain, Boris Johnson, for intervention.
Yes.
Do you think this conflict we have reached a stage where we need to invite international intervention outside East African community to resolve it? Do you think we should have a situation where countries outside EAC should resolve matters within the EAC?
Thank you so much, madam. My submission on that, East African community as an organization, it needs to first work hard and see whether it can settle the disputes. So if it fails, it's okay if they can go ahead to a convention seeking some help, but my submission is that East African community needs first work hard so as they can fight disputes before they go any further. Thank you.
Okay, let me get Nicholas's opinion there, since we are just from speaking to Sylvia. So, Nicholas, what is your opinion about international intervention within the EAC? We have seen several international interventions internationally. We've seen it in Libya, we have seen it in Ukraine right now, we have seen it in several countries. Do you think Congo has reached a point where we need international intervention?
Yesterday, when I was having friends and we were jazzing, discussing about the Libya issue, that was it right for the international community to come into Libya? And I told them, I was like, largely I say they were right because the society was disorganized. When you get a disorganized society, we are in a more interconnected world, a global world, where people are more interconnected than before. The demand is increasing than ever before. And whoever makes the loudest outcry and is heard is helped. We are about, you see, Congo's issue now, me when I'm debating it, I don't believe the thing of saying I'm an African and what. I don't like it. Well, Africa has succeeded to address the adversity and diversity. That in Africa we are so many who can live in one country and argue and fight will remain one. Unlike in Europe where you find Swiss is a pure Swiss, you go to Britain is the British are British. That's there. But here we have fought, we are still together. But my problem is one here is that if the people of Congo themselves feel like the East African community and the president himself, he feels really things are getting to the worst and he wants to invite Boris Johnson. And genuinely, Boris Johnson and the group in America, the Belgium people, they come here and they're like, let's go like this. Because the African Union is the biggest, you see, we are black people. And when you are a black person, you understand the black man's problems very well. You see, the people in Europe, they have their own lifestyle. In Europe, they don't identify themselves as this one is a Munyakore, this one is a Chiga from this clan, from here and here, the father, the grandfather. And someone will pinpoint around you in Africa to push you for a meal. So for us Africans, we understand our problems. Actually, we know that that's our problem. Actually, we should be the people who should be going to Congo and advising Congo. But we have failed to do it. So let the people who are ready come and help us, because me, I've seen it. We have our problems. You see, you have heard about it. Someone will say, she's called Fiona, she's this one from here, and you say, you be oversight. And that is how we are. That's how we are. That's the problem. So despite going to school, we are still lacking. So I think inviting the European Union, if they can come in, the Americans, if they come in with a clear mind, as they have done before, they have brought for us education, we are enjoying. They have brought for us good cars, we are driving.
Let me just ask you a question right there before we even move far. Uganda just celebrated 60 years of independence. Several countries have been celebrating independence. When we invite European Union or any of the countries to intervene in the matter in Congo, do you think we have to worry about our independence?
You see, independence in Africa, like in Congo is not independent. It's not. Congo, you cannot be independent when half of your budget, 70%, is financed by a global power. At the face of it, you are independent. Ideologically, you are not. So for me, when we talk about independence, I think about the economy of the country. That is why I say that the Middle East, those countries, they are independent. But you cannot say that you are at my place, like in real life of Africa. You come to my home every day, I give you salt, I help your children go to school, I give you shoes, I finance everything of yours. And then you go somewhere in a meeting and you say, me, I'm an independent man, I can fulfill all my dreams. You are not. Actually, the definition of independence must run across and be beyond the raising of the flag and lowering of the Union Jack. That is the basic definition of someone who is in the village. But me, I was going to school, I must say independence goes beyond that. And that's why I say we are not independent.
Okay, let me get Winfred's opinion right in there. What is your opinion on the issue of international intervention outside the EAC, most especially outside Africa, intervening in matters of EAC?
Okay. I'm going to give an example of a bad parent. If you're a bad parent and you have failed to tame your kids will always be in prison. So the government will now help you to do what? To tame them. So as Africa, EAC, African Union, we have failed to handle what is taking place in Congo. So that's why now the outside world is coming in to do what? To help us. And I think it's okay because we have failed. I admit, as African Union, East African community, we have failed to, because it has taken long. Since DRC got its independence, it has never been at peace. So that means that as Africans, we have failed to handle it. And it wouldn't be bad to take a helping hand, receive a helping hand from a willing neighbor.
Exactly.
Okay, Sylvia, talking about a willing neighbor, picking up from Winfred's point, I would like to also get your perception. We have seen intervention gone wrong. We have seen intervention gone good. So what is your opinion on intervention outside Africa into affairs of EAC?
Yeah, the international countries can join, but how are they joining in the first place? Are they doing it the opposite way of how the AC has done it, or they are ready to help us in a positive way? So in the first place, if they are ready to help the DRC country, they should be ready to remove these countries, let's say Rwanda, Uganda, because they are partly, but they are bad. They have brought negative effect towards DRC itself. Back then, even now, they won't be of great help as Uganda and Rwanda. So for that matter, if the international countries are to join us, they should be ready to first stop the East African countries on the help they had so far given, because partly it's not good. They are either rooting or ready to targeting to overthrow a president, or ready to do the opposite of the help. So for that matter, if they are to join, they should be ready to first clean these people first, the East African country or other African countries, the African Union, then later on they serve their help. And if we are to talk about if they are to help out within the security, they should also they should monitor the security, because Uganda and Rwanda did the opposite. They didn't monitor its security, which brought out the results weren't good.
Okay, thank you. Let me move back to Hosea. We know Uganda has been a country that has hosted so many refugees. So what does the conflict in Congo mean for Uganda?
Thank you so much, madam. The party, let me first talk about briefly about Uganda, the current situation in DRC. Yeah, partly they are based on Ugandan genocide, which occurred in 1994. So the question you have asked me about Uganda and DRC, the refugee crisis, it means that they came into, Uganda can submit as it's a country, and where we rely, there is something which I would like to mention about the rule of law. Yeah, so the rule of law means that something must be done according to the law. Then, if we have refugees from Congo in Uganda, so we pray that, or we can handle them well. We handle them as our friends. We equip them with something that are relating to morals, and even where there is a loophole, we call upon other countries to come and join in and guide us and help us on that. So having refugees in Uganda, it's a bit, I don't know how I can talk about that, but let them settle. We help them as our friends.
Okay.
Yeah, and the things shall be added. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have come to the end of our debate for today. I'll give each of you less than 30 seconds each to give us your closing remarks, and I'll start with Winfred.
Okay. My closing, I'm going to close by talking about the very last question. I think us hosting or giving refuge to the refugees is of effect to us in that it increases our population pressure, because we also have people who are sometimes displaced due to landslides and they don't have where to go. The places would be the rehabilitation centers already occupied by the refugees. These guys bring for us diseases, and then our health is also put attention, because personally I have a strong feeling the Ebola we are facing currently was caused by those people. Then lastly, they have also put us on tension, because in most cases, whenever it is towards Christmas, at the border of Congo and Uganda in customs, we are always in. In fact, you don't enjoy that celebrations because you think anytime the rebels are coming in. So the refugees are coming in, they're going to, anyway, we shouldn't give them refuge. That's what I can say.
Okay, Nicholas, 30 seconds.
Yeah, Nicholas. My last take would be that the African countries and East African countries must stop the tendency of benchmarking on wrong neighbors, wrong professors, and wrong people. It's high time we chase out for the best and learn from the best. Thank you.
Okay,
My
Sylvia.
final remarks are the refugees should go back home to their countries, because actually I admire the late Idi Amin Dada. He wasn't educated, but he was practical. He sent all of them outside Uganda, and they went. It's time Museveni stands up and says, "Hey, go back to your countries. Whether there is peace, there is no peace, go back. We need also us. We need peace. We need privacy. There shouldn't be competition at any case." So for that, I remain as Akampa Sylivia.
Okay, yes, Hosea.
So in my conclusion, I call upon African unity to provide peace and live in harmony. So as people who are living shall harmonize and stay together, eat together, cooperate together. And I'd like to also call upon the rule of law also to take in charge. I remain Arind Hosea. That's how I can submit.
Okay, thank you so much to our panelists for the discussion for today. I would like to say we have come to the end of our debate for today. Thank you so much to Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV for organizing inter-university debate. And thank you to our viewers for watching. Would like to say thank you, goodbye, see you next time, same day.